We're holding Siman 7 days, and we began Seif Beis. Seif Beis is a little bit of a long Seif, and there's quite a few machlokes in there. And as it has happened in Hilchos Taaruvot, it will happen at times in Hilchos Basar בחלב, that it can become very complex. And we don't want to make it over complex and try to deal only with the main chilukim. After all, halacha l'maisa, what's halacha l'maisa? Halacha l'maisa means, what do we do? What do we do if we have a problem? Well, we have a mechab, we have a remah, we have shach and taz. But it helps to understand a little bit of the background of where each one draws his opinion, and to properly understand what the real issue is. So what I decided to do is, since it is a little bit complex, is review. Just do a little bit more review of some of the nekudas that need a little bit more clarity. For example, the difference between tzli and bishul. I think that requires a little bit more clarity because we did learn it in Taaruvot, but it's been some time. And here are some of the halachas of tzli is coming up again, so it's important that we have a good understanding of a big difference between the two and how it affects us in Basar b'chalav. It can make a world of a difference. After all, as we will soon see in this Siman, this is the Siman where we are introduced to the famous Hanan, where we see the machlokes of whether Hanan applies to Shar Isurim as well, or it's only to Basar b'chalav, which is a unique Isser, in that the two combine to form an Isser, or does it apply, to Shar Isurim as well? Because Hanan is a very interesting concept, that once a piece of kosher meat has become also because of a bliya, it can potentially give you a hard time if it ever would fall into a gdera again, because now you would have to calculate the entire piece, the size of the entire piece, and not just. It's one thing when you have a little bit of milk falling in to a pot of meat or cholent, versus having a whole piece of meat falling in that may have had the time of chalav already, and it's a hanan now. So it could make a difference, even though these halachas may not occur too often. When it comes to basar b'chalav, obviously we need to be more sensitive about it because of the isur of basar b'chalav. I mean, simply, it's a isur. We're talking about an isur d'oraisa, and we're talking about a situation where it may affect the entire pot, and if that's the case, you may have to throw away the whole pot. You may have to kasher the pot. I mean, it could really cause a lot of problems. And the more we understand the problem, the better we're able to tackle it, to understand, to see, did it in fact cause a problem or not? Perhaps it only fell on the piece that was outside sticking out. It didn't really affect the whole kedera, right? After all, it was only a little bit. And what was it? It was milk. Well, what happens if had it not been milk? Had it been blood? Would it make a difference? Or, all these chilukim, the better we understand them. What exactly is the isser? How much of a problem it causes? And of course, the concept that we hopefully will get to today again, mevatel isser lechatchila. When is that a problem? All of these are tied in sometimes to one particular scenario, and that's what we're dealing here. We're going to be dealing here with a scenario that involves quite a few details from various angles in halacha. So basar b'chalav, of course, the combination of the two. We're dealing with bitul, the concept of bitul and how that works. Bitul isur lechatchila. Isur dovuk, which is a concept that we spoke about that the Taz brings up here. All kinds of issues that require resolution. And there's problems, there's questions. Shuchan asks, we're going to see a very interesting Chazon Ish today, and a very interesting Rabbi Elyahu Kin on that Chazon Ish. Not on the Chazon Ish, but on the same, because he was before him, but on the same nekuda that the Chazon Ish talks about. So it can become very, very fascinating, but it's a little bit difficult to keep track, so I tried my best to make a seder, so that we don't lose track of where we're holding. Let's go back and perhaps begin with a clarification of tzli and bishul. Just this nekuda, because of what Ilan raised, that he had some doubts about. It's important that we have a very good understanding of the difference between the two. We learned in Siman Kuf Hey the various levels of heat. whether it was Iroi, whether it was Lisheni, whether it was Kli Rishon that was removed from the fire or on the fire. The common denominator of those types of bishul is when we say bishul or when we say kdeira, which means a pot, we imply that there's liquid involved. And as we explained, liquid is an excellent conveyor. Is that a good word? Conveyor of tam. It can spread out the tam everywhere. Liquid together with heat can cause problems. And when we say heat, we say yatzoledes boy, or more. That's when the problems begin. Not so much before, because, klisheni, as we explained, is not mevashel according to the way we hold. It's still a problem. It's a problem in Hilchos Shabbos. It's a problem in other areas. But it's not as big as a problem as Kli Rishon is. Kli Rishon with liquid is a problem. What's Kli Rishon without liquid? Well, anything that's on the fire, which is like a Kli Rishon, that has no liquid is called sli. Sli roasting, baking in a sense. If there's no water involved, no lachluchis. When I say water, I mean nothing, dry, for the most part. I mean, it could have its own humidity, but that doesn't count. You could have shuman, and that already is a different story. Fattiness. The fattiness does, of course, create a different problem, because now it comes to resemble more liquid. But if the hot pot, the hot skewer, is that what they call the metal rod? Yeah, it's just very, very hot, but there's no liquid. It's called sli. And we said that by Melicha, which is powerful, it produces an iser or penetration of a kedei klipa. It only goes so far. Sli produces a penetration of kedei netila, whereas bishul goes everywhere. Unless you have the required amount of beetle of shishim and so forth, it affects everything. Tzli, because it does not have the liquid, it only goes so far as kedei netila. We're assuming that we're talking about something that is for sure not shomen, not fat, because as we said, once something is fat, then the tzli becomes more similar to bishul. All right, so before we go on, it is true that the Ramah and many poskim say that we don't distinguish between kochush and shaman. We're not bekiyim. We're not experts. It's hard to know if something is lean or if something is fatty when dealing with especially, but even with some other items. And therefore, whenever you're dealing with choim of tzli, heat of tzli, you're going to be asering ad kedei shishim, because you're going to be treating it as shaman. That's all. Everybody holds that it's, well, as far as we know, in the halacha lemaisa, everybody would be in agreement that if it's shaman, if the iser is shaman at least, but even some say even if the heter is shaman, that it asers kedei shishim. But what if it's something that everybody agrees that it's kochush legamre? Is there anything that everybody's in agreement that it's completely lean? Yes, the answer is dam. Dam, you can't have blood. It's also depending which blood, but it's also. And if the dam would fall onto a piece of meat, it would be an iser kochush, not an iser shaman. There's no liquid involved. The halacha would be, just about everybody would agree, kedei netila. Even the Ramah, as the Shach explains in Taaruvot, that when it comes to a vadai iser kochush, that should not present a problem of shish. That would be kedei netila. There's a question as to whether you still need a tila even if you have shishim because of the contact. Okay, that's a separate issue, whether you still have to remove a netila. Okay. But that's a chumrah of the shach, of the Ramah, that we're not bekiyim, and therefore we treat all tzli alike. But let's talk about the real halacha, the mekor halacha. The mekor halacha of tzli is that tzli is always kedei netila. Therefore, even though it's true that we did speak about an additional concept called of tator govar, that the one that's in the bottom is stronger than the one that's on top. The one on the bottom is hot. It makes the one that's on top, the cold one, heat up. And therefore, if the one that's on top is asur, the one that's in the bottom is heter, but it's hot, it's going to overpower it. It's going to absorb, right? If the top one is a hot one, the bottom one is cold. Kol shekin if the bottom one is hot, is an iser. But if the top one is hot and the bottom one is cold, it can only go as far as a klipa. As it's coming down, right, it can only go so far. It goes down as far as a klipa. Okay, regardless of who's in the top and who's in the bottom, we want to know who's the one that's hot and who's the one that's cold. These are the klalim of Tator Govar. That's what matters to us. Now, this is the point that needs clarification. When we say Tator Govar, we're not talking about Sli. Okay, it's important to understand this. In the Ikar Hadin, forget about the Ramah who's machmir between fatty and lean. In the Ikar Hadin, Tator Govar has nothing to do with Sli. Tator Govar, I mean, it can be a situation of Sli, of course, but it's not related. Tator Govar, we're saying, is that something is hot enough, Yatzaledis boy, and it's at the bottom, versus that which is falling on top of it is cold. When do we say Tator Govar answers that the whole heter falling on top of it? That can only be if there's liquid involved. Because when are we going to answer something completely, not kedei klip or kedei netila, only when there's liquid. When there's no liquid, it's a tzli. If there's no liquid, it will always be considered a roast. Roast is kedei netila. I don't care if it's at the bottom, if it's at the top, next to each other. Even though the Ramah does talk about Isurim being next to each other are a little bit different than one being on top and one being in the bottom. Okay, that's it's a little bit of a different situation. We're dealing with Basar B'chalav, it's a little bit different. But the Ikar Adin here is that Tator Govar, that it completely answers that which is cold, is only when there is liquid involved. So when we say something fell into the pot and it's a Tator Govar, we're saying that it's a Tator Govar in liquid. Or there's liquid there. If there's no liquid involved, it's always going to be Kedei Netila. When would it be more than a Kedei Netila if there's no liquid? If it's shaman, yes, but that's a chumrah. Okay, that's a little bit of a review of the chilukim between the various situations of heat. And that's what we need to understand this a little bit, because our seif over here talks about a combination of these two. One, depending on if you learn the halacha, is talking about a piece of meat that is outside the pot or inside the pot. If it's outside the pot and there's no liquid touching it, it's sticking out. I'm sorry, the correct way is it's outside the mixture of pieces of meat.
It's outside the liquid.
It's outside the liquid, right? The right, right. I meant sticking out. Yeah, not outside the pot. I mean, yeah. I obviously think, yeah. So, if this piece where the milk is falling onto is not in the roitev, it's not in the sauce, it's a pot full of meat, full of potatoes, full of everything, and it fell a little bit on top of one of the pieces. And the balabosta right now is saying, well, what am I going to do? Is this affecting the whole pot? Is this just this piece? What do I need to worry? Do I just need to worry about this piece? Or maybe even this piece is okay. Can I just wash it out? Okay, so we have various questions. Is this piece kosher? How about the rest of the pot? And if this piece is kosher, why is it kosher? Because all I need to do is rinse it off, or it was not hot enough, these are the questions that we need to know, and that is what the halacha base is all about. The nafal chalav letoich gdera shel basar. What do we do? So the mechaber said immediately what he would do. Well, first of all, you can taste. We can use the kefela. He holds of tasting. Whenever in doubt, if the tama basar, because why should you taste it? Because maybe it was quick. Maybe it wasn't hot enough. Yeah, who knows? Maybe it's just so little that it won't be. That's why you taste. You have a suffix. Whether the chalav really penetrated, maybe it did not.
He holds to
of basar b'chalav. Basar b'chalav, yeah. Because this is a detectable taste. Chalav in basar, basar in chalav. You can detect it. You may be able to detect it. That's not the case if treif meat falls into a kosher pot, because what is he going to... Unless, of course, if it would be a different kind of meat where you can actually taste the other kind of meat. But if the taste is not detectable, then you can't use it going. When is the taste not detectable? In our case of basar b'chalav, when that little bit of chalav was there long enough, cooking, and it was absorbed into the piece of meat, and that piece of meat could have expelled or emitted that chalav which is treifa chalav now. And now, how will he know the difference between this chalav and that chalav? They all taste the same. Okay, so but anyway, that was what the mechaber was saying. You can apply, this test if you have a kafela, Mesiach lefi tumah, telling you what the story here is.
Are there actually opinions that, since we don't know what specifically an area of the food, where the taste did not spread there?
Well, here in our example, it's chalav letoich k'deir shel basar.
I'm not talking about the. No, we have both examples.
But 1 second.
We have both examples.
Yeah. You can have it the other way around. You have basar. What?
Yeah, both examples.
Oh, in the Siman.
First, we have onion. First, the basar, and then we have the basar v'chalav. The meat, the milk that went back into the pot that you.
Right.
That would be that the meat fell into a pot of milk. Yeah. You said by the kfela.
Right.
You mentioned by the kfela, but we're talking about the taste that spread in the milk. Of course, if meat absorbed and gave it back off, the kfela
won't be able to know. Right.
And that would be the example of the milk in a fight. Where you have a pot of milk, you're worried about the milk in the pot.
Right.
Both cases.
You can have both cases. It's either way.
You were mentioning cases.
Yeah, I did before.
Yes,
yeah.
I was referring to.
Right. It could be either one. It could be either one, and in either of the two, you could use a cont and mechaber kfela. That's correct.
Pointing out.
Yeah, go ahead.
There were opinions test the kfela would fail in milk when we're trying to identify meat in the milk or milk in the meat.
Okay.
It will because chances are that the kfela might be tasting an area.
Yes.
Where the taste did not spread. Whereas a different area, the kfela could still contain the taste.
Yes, that can theoretically be true. There may be that kind of a situation. Obviously, then we would not allow a kfela, or we would tell them to taste a few spots, just to be sure.
Those that hold like that, if I remember correctly, do not allow kfela.
Yes, but that's not the only reason why we don't allow kfela.
There are those that hold by that opinion.
Yeah,
Others
there may be
reason.
right. There may be a situation where the taste of a kfela would require more than once tasting.
You can't eat the whole thing.
He may try.
It doesn't help me that
he may try.
There was no taste.
He may try.
Yes.
By the time he's finished tasting, there's nothing left anyway.
Yes, and he says, and I guarantee you, in this pot, there's no more tasting.
Yes. Okay. All right. So once we understand that the difference between sli and bishul, we must also realize that there's another difference. So if you're dealing with a bishul situation, when there's roitiv involved, you have the advantage that a kol mitztaref. When something falls into a liquid, in the same way that the liquid helps to both dissipate, mevatel, and spread the tam, it also enables all the tafshil to be one. They all act in unison. Liquid means that everything that is in the liquid will act as in unison and will be mitztaref to be mevatel. When you're dealing with tzli, when you're dealing with things that are touching each other without liquid, then you can't expect it to travel from one to the other like a domino effect. Tam doesn't just travel like that. It doesn't even travel into the piece adjacent to it too far. It goes only kedei netila. The more so, you can't expect it to go even further. And we had this klal, important klal in Taaruvot, that the ne'esar, that which has become asar, cannot go further than the isar. Eina nesar yachol lelech b'makom sha'isar eino yachol lelech. Remember that, Ilan?
Yes.
Yeah. If the isar couldn't go further, you can't expect the ne'esar to go further either.
But always have the problem, which is the isra.
Well, Basar v'chalav is different. Yeah. And there's a big machlokes on that. We're going to talk a little bit about that too. It's a very interesting situation of exactly what you said. Because it becomes, in a way, as we explained, the difference between Isser Balua versus Isser Machmas Atzmoy. And even though Basar B'chalav is Hanan, it is a form of Isser Balua. Exactly. All right, so we'll talk a little bit about that. You're having a piece of meat, in this case, that was boleh a little bit of chalav. Okay?
Yeah.
Nafal chalav the basar. So the meat is the one that's absorbing the chalav. Okay?
Right.
So we're going to have a question, and I'm going to try to leave it in order.
But this is now meat, that milk.
Exactly.
Why is the any less of an isser than the milk? Meat that was cooked with milk.
Yes.
So why is the meat any lesser than the milk?
No, we didn't say it's any less.
Yeah, so they're both.
They're both.
They're not. One is an Esad and one is an Isser.
Right. But the question is going to be, the question that we're going to raise is that was discussed in Taaruvot is now if there's anything beneath this piece of Hanan.
How does the Hanan affect someone else?
Yes.
Like a Nevela.
Okay, that's
So
not
the
so.
question is,
But that's not so pashut.
Does it affect it as a Basar b'chalav or as a Nevela?
No. So that's not so pashut. Okay, that's not so pashut because it's a machlokes.
No, it's a machlok with respect to whether it affects as a Basar b'chalav. Does it extend the Basar b'chalav?
Yes.
Another piece of meat that
Right.
brought the milk. Does that piece of meat is it also called that it's a Basar b'chalav piece?
Right.
Or does the Hanan, the Basar and the Chalav that combined, that were cooked together, does that now constitute a completely new Isser that has no longer anything to do with Basar and Chalav? Like any other Isser, Vela, Treifa, pork, that now is Aserate, the other piece of meat. And I think it was the Pri Megadim, if I'm not mistaken, or
Yeah.
I give it a confused.
Yes.
That said, it depends. I don't know, that goes.
Yeah, there's a shach here, there's a ran, okay, there's a taz on that. What exactly is being transmitted into the adjacent piece of meat from a basar b'chalav, something that has become also because of basar b'chalav? Because the chalav may not travel anymore.
The meat itself is an Isser.
Oh, but the meat itself is an issue for a different reason. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about that. In other words, it's not exactly the same.
What here? A different
We'll see in a moment. It's hard to go back and forth, so let's leave it for a little bit later. All right. In discussing Sif Beis, we always said in reading the Mechaber that the problem right now is that Cholav is affecting one piece. And since it's affecting one piece, if the Kefela says that he's toyim in that piece, Tam Cholav, so Nesra Oysa Chaticha. So that Chaticha is Osir. For those of us, the Ramah says, who are not soymech on kafela, what do you need to make that chaticha mutar? You need shishim. If in that chaticha you have shishim, then you're safe.
Are we talking about now the chaticha that's in the
Apparently, from what I understood, not everybody agrees. That makes it more difficult. What is the scenario of the mechaber? We have to go, and I'll tell you why, with the assumption that the mechaber is speaking about a chaticha that is not in the roitiv. There's going to be questions, then why does he word it later on? We'll answer those questions. Obviously, you can also learn in the Mechaber that he's talking about a chaticha that is halfway in the roitiv. How do we know he can say it that way? Because the same Mechaber, who here does not clarify very, very, very clearly what the scenario really is, he does so in Kuf Hey, in Taaruvot. In Taaruvot, for some reason over there, and the Ramah, by the way, in Sif Dalet here too. In Kuf Hey, the Mechaber says like this: "V'chein im nofal isor al chaticha shebegdero she'ichutz leroitev, v'lo nirak dero v'lo kisa." It fell on top of a piece of meat that was outside the sauce. He did not cover it up with the lid. He did not mix the whole thing. Because that piece of meat that is above the sauce is tzli, right? There's no liquid. Aval im hi beroitev, and this is where we get to the machlokes. But if it's in the roitev, lerashi kulo.
Who's saying that?
The mechaber, in Taaruvot, Siman Kuf Hey Sif
Taaruvot.
Yeah. So over there he says, if it's in the roitev, lerashi, all of it has to be in the roitev. Uleri afilu miktsaso, even if half of it is in the roitev, or afilu kulo chutz leroitev venir, but you mixed it. Okay, so you covered the roitev mifapeh batam b'amav because of course the sauce is going to all mix it up. So Rashi, that's a machlokes. So repeating the machlokes Rashi in the the way we understand Rashi, even Rashi itself is not so clear, but the way we understand Rashi is Rashi understands the Gemara to mean that even if something is halfway in the roitev, it's ki'ilu outside the roitev. And the Ri says no. If something is in the roitev, it's in the roitev. Rashi said to be in the roitev, you have to be immersed completely in roitev. If you're halfway, it's like you're outside. And if you're outside, whatever is outside is at sli. It's kedei natila.
No, but here by us with the challah.
Oh, so that's going to be one of the questions.
Completely outside, it's
Exactly. So that's going to be one of the questions. Mechaber, are you talking about why is the whole thing usher? Is it because you're going to learn like Rashi? In other words, you're going to learn. In other words, you're going to be machmir. In other words, that it's inside the roitev, like the ri, right? Like the ri, not like Rashi.
It's halfway inside the roitev, then it spreads in the whole pot.
Yeah, but it also spreads in the whole piece. I can understand why the whole piece.
Spreads in the whole pot, so I don't need 16 in the piece again.
Yes.
I don't even need to be in the piece again.
Right.
If it's according to the rule sticking completely out.
So based on the way we learned the mechaber, the wording, it appears to be that the fact that he requires shishim in the piece, that it's like Rashi. That even if it's a half roiter, in other words, even if it's in a roiter, right? Or that he's learning, like we said, the assumption is that it's kula outside the roiter, and he can still be holding like the ri. That's what is unclear here. In Taaruvot, he brings the machlokes and he doesn't paskin. Like who? Like this or like that, depending if you hold like Rashi or you hold like the Ri. Here he doesn't even say that, for whatever reason. I guess he expects us to learn Taaruvot and then come back or whatever. But based on the plain assumption, like Ilan pointed out, that since he's requiring shishim in the chaticha, what does that tell you? It tells you that it's outside the roitev. But not necessarily. I mean, there's Taz and there's others who learn differently on how you interpret. But we have to go with Poshem Pshat here. We have a question on that. If it's outside the roitev, why is the whole thing aser? If there's no shishim, it should be kedei netila. Okay, remember that? That was one of the questions of the Aruch HaShulchan. So let's talk about those questions. So question number one. This is question number one. Why should the whole piece be aser if it's outside? We just finished saying that sali kedei netila. If it's outside the roitev, why should the whole thing become aser? Why? In Taaruvot, we never saw that. Yes, if something is fatty, something is fatty. Well, maybe this is fatty. Why should this be fatty? He didn't distinguish between fatty and non-fatty. Yes, but as the Rashba points out, milk is fatty. Misrach sorech, he says, that's his lashon. Milk is a little fatty. Is it just the fattiness of the milk? That's enough? They say it's not just the fattiness of the milk, it's also the steam. We're talking about that it's in a k'deira. It's in a k'deira, but wait a minute, in Hilchos Taaruvot, there was also the example there is also talking about inside the k'deira, and there's for the steam, and over there was still kedei netila. So some Meforshim want to say that over there, you know why it's only kedei netila in Hilchos Taaruvot, even though there's steam? Because it's shnei dvarim shel gush.
No liquid involved.
No liquid involved. 2 pieces of gush, solids. Here, the milk is a liquid. And it's just not just an ordinary liquid. That's not sufficient.
Well, it depends who you follow.
Yeah.
According to the Talmud, that is the reason.
No, not really.
Yes.
It's not a liquid because we just said before that if that liquid is kochush mole, like dam, it would only be aser kedei netila.
But that's according to...
No, dam, that according to everybody.
But no, dam
Dam.
is according to everybody.
According to everybody.
No, I'm talking about milk.
Milk, the only reason...
According to the Shach.
According to the Shach.
That's to be fatty.
The only reason why lemaise, we are machmir, when there is, even with there's 2 gushim, koshekim with a liquid, if you want to say, it's not because it's a liquid, it's because we're not bekim between kochosh and shaman. That's the only reason. By tzli.
According to the Chavas Das, it's because it's something to do with fattiness. According to the Chavas Das, a different opinion.
Maybe. I don't recall that right now, the Chavas Das, on this example.
Yeah, and so
you saw the Chavas Das says that the reason why this is... that it's only because it's a liquid?
Only because of it. And the Nafkamini says between... is if you would have something like a piece of gush that's fatty.
No, so what does he say about blood? Why would blood not be
In a
asked?
different case, he talks about that. I don't recall what is about blood. But he mentions blood in passing.
Yeah.
He says, according to the Chavas Das, it's the fattiness. And you need the steam.
And you need the steam.
Well, the steam you need always. Whether it's fatty or a liquid, you need the steam. The steam you need in any way because the steam makes the meat receptive. It causes.
Remember, we're saying that the whole piece becomes completely aser.
Yes.
Not kedei netila, and he says that it's only because of a liquid, or does he mention the Rashba because that this liquid is a little misach sorrow?
He mentions both. He mentions the Rashba with the Shach. That's because of the fattiness. Then he says, and the Chavas Das says because of the liquid, because milk is liquid.
Then how does he transfer the
that's a different
blood?
story.
Okay,
That's a different point.
Yeah.
But that's the Chavas Das. And then he says, what's the nafkamina do?
Right.
If you had something that was davar gush, that's fatty.
Right.
According to the shach, it would aser because it's fatty.
Because it's fatty.
According to the Havastas, it would not aser because it's not liquid.
It's not real liquid, yeah.
And vice versa. If you have something that's liquid, like the mei chalav,
right,
that comes out, which is fat free, which is
right,
really not fatty. According to the shach, that shouldn't,
right,
because it's not fatty. And according to the Havastas, that would aser because it's liquid.
Okay, interesting, yeah. But I can understand, the chiluk here. Yeah, sure. But Poshup Pshat, that's the various poskim hold that the reason why here the whole chaticha is asuri, even if you say it's talking about it's outside the roitev, and it should be like sli, is because of a combination of it being a little milk, a little bit being fatty, and you have the steam. And the steam causes the time to be mispashit, and because of this additional reason of steam, we have an answer to the third question of the Aruch HaShulchan, which is, I don't think it's not only his question, by the way, everybody asks it, why, and even you raised the point, why is the Ramah saying here, why is it understood from the Mechaber here, actually, that you need now Shishim, in the Ramah, Chaber and the Ramah, against the Tipa? Hey, if it's outside the Roitev, who cares about everything else? Why require Shishim from everything else? It says, Mesharim Bekula, Imhoye Bekol Ma Sheyesh Bakadera. So someone will say, oh, you see, Misharim Bekula, that means it's half inside in the Roitev maybe. It's not outside the Roitev. Otherwise, Misharim Bekula, Moya Bekol Ma Sheyesh Bakdero, Michaticha Sayera, Dayara, Gamora, Bakam.
Yeah, but that's if it's, but no, but if it's sticking out, according to the Chaber, that's the Ramah. It's the question by the Ramah, why does he say that? According to the Mechaber, if it was sticking out, you don't.
Yeah, he says, if lo near klal, you didn't mix it.
Right.
Im yesh shishim b'kder neges tipas cholav shenafal, eno also ran.
But if it's inside, not if it's sticking out.
Exactly.
You could. To the Ramah, even if it's sticking out. So the question is why?
According to the Ramah, but according to the Mechaber, go ahead.
According to the Mechaber,
yeah,
if it's sticking out, either the piece itself is 60, then it's okay. If the piece itself doesn't have 60, you have to throw it out. And as long as it did not end up in the mixture.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. So that's only because the Mechaber is talking about another scenario. The Mechaber scenario was, that was only the Ramah. The Mechaber scenario was that in case that piece became Asur.
And then you start mixing.
Then you start, no, even before you mix it. Mesharim bekulo im hoyo bekol ma sheyesh b'kterim mechatim. Right.
Are we assuming that's like when we say Yatzal as well, are we assuming
the fact that the physics behind it, the kedera surrounding the food, produces. Yes, even if you don't. Yeah, it's just the whole. You realize that when you cover a pot, you do.
That's the next one.
Well, sure. That's going to make a difference soon. Did you mix it, or did you? So far, we don't know.
We don't know it.
Right. No. We know that the pot is uncovered yet. The question is whether you're going to cover it now. Did you end up covering, or did you end up mixing it? Now, mixing, we understand what mixing does. But covering with a lid, not everybody realizes that once you cover the pot with a lid, you are increasing the pressure inside. That's the way pressure cookers work. It cooks faster. It preserves the liquid longer. It doesn't dissipate, right? And therefore, in Shabbos, it would be also for anybody to put a lid back on the pot, or to put it to begin with, unless it's fully cooked. Even then, you should be careful not to put it lechatchila. Yeah, lechatchila not. But if you took it off and you put it right back just to check, that's not a problem if it was fully cooked.
But I was thinking that by our case, also when he rises and then it's lit by the cover of the pot,
right? Then
it goes back into.
That's correct.
So that's also done there.
Yeah, sure. As
now
we're going to see that later on with the tipa falling on the lid. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How they still permit
after it's been covered? No, because remember, once it's mixed and covered, you're going to have a problem with the milk coming out of the piece of meat.
Not mixed.
Yeah, and even then, it's good you asked, because even then, the only time we are concerned with the milk coming back out is when it subsided. So if you took it out right away, before it subsided, you're in luck. As far as the milk, you still have to taste the milk if it has the tam of basar. That's in the case of where basar fell into milk. You would still have to taste the chalav. Is there any taste? But in the other case, where milk fell into basar, and you took out that piece while it was still boiling, it's okay as far as everything else, but not as far as that piece. You still would either taste it or figure out if you had shishin. So as we explained, the Aruch HaShulchan says it's a combination of the fattiness of the milk or the steam that produces a situation where even if it's completely outside the sauce and it's a sli, the chaticha becomes aser entirely. And there's a requirement, as we said, according to the Ramah, when he says if you did not mix it, you still have to figure out the shishim against the tipa. Why would I have to figure out shishim against the tipa if it's outside the sauce? That's in the Ramah. Why would I then need shishim against the tipa? Because of the fattiness, because of the steam, I should say, the combination of steam and the fattiness of the milk causes a situation where we are concerned. There's a chashash, there's a concern that it may spread into the pot. So it affects the entire chaticha just because of the fattiness of the milk, or you can say it's a combination of the two, that and the steam. So that was the Aruch HaShulchan, and in reality, I should really say, these three questions, the two questions plus the question of Nir ad sof, is a question that's raised by others as well. That was the third question, was why does the Mechaber mention the words, if you mixed it from the beginning till the end, what's this till the end for? Everybody is in agreement, all the Meforshim here, that even if you just mix it at the beginning, you're okay. What's this till the end? Covering, we understand, but what's the words till the end? So I don't think it's only him. I think that actually I did see others say the same thing, that the chiddush here is that the milk takes time until it actually sinks into the meat. And as long as you were mixing while the milk was apparent on the meat, then you did it on time. Once the milk has already completely been absorbed into the piece of meat, it's too late to. That piece of meat has already become aser, and it's a chanan. And once it's a chanan, now it's in the pot. You shishim not against the original milk. You shishim against the entire heat.
He says שנפל חלב לתוך ידדה של בשר.
Yeah.
תואמין החתיכה שנפל עליה החלב. אם אין בה טעם חלב, הכל מותר.
Right.
I taste the meat on which the milk drop fell or well.
Right.
And if I don't taste it, or not, I taste it, I haven't tasted it before. And if the person that tastes it does not detect milk in that meat, everything in the pot is permitted. Why does he draw a conclusion from that one piece, everything else in the pot?
I mean, your question is regarding the rest of the pot?
Right.
No. You don't have to be concerned with the rest of the pot.
He says, so it stands to reason that
you don't have to be any concerned about anything.
So
Kol mutar means everything. You don't have to be concerned. The poshup pshat, I understand what you're saying. The poshup pshat, hakol means
everything is in that pot.
No. You're right, but then it's a little difficult to understand. The emphasis on hakol means even this piece.
Right.
Even this piece.
But the Mechaber formulates himself very, very, very precisely. As you see from his criticism on the Torah occasionally, when he criticizes the criticizes the Torah for precise formulations. He corrects his formulations, or at least correction of the formulations. So if you hear, then according to what it says here, if Fela did the taste of milk,
then we have a problem.
Wait a second, would you be permitted to eat it? That's in the
Not yet.
So you are drawing a conclusion from that piece on the rest of the ingredients.
Yeah, but that's why he qualifies his statement later on with Nir. He's saying like this: that if there is tam in the chaticha, then first of all, nesra oisa chaticha. That chaticha is aser, obviously. Now, what are we going to do with the rest of the pot? He doesn't say anything about sticking out, or the roitev or not. He just tells us, we have a piece of meat where we know that's where the milk fell in. And it only fell on this piece. That we know. There has to be that. Okay, we're saying, we know the chaticha is treif. Is that going to affect the whole pot or not? And he doesn't get into here Rashi and the Ri. He just says simply, you have a pot. What now? What's with the rest of the pot? He says, wait a minute. With the rest of the pot, and we have a piece of meat that became aser, now, if you want to know if the rest of the pot is okay, mesharin bekula. Remember, he doesn't tell you anything about roitev. You don't know anything yet. Shishim keneged. This chaticha, the chaticha remains also b'ashar mutar. Now, he says that halacha is in the following scenario: b'shelo nir agdera.
Yeah, that's something else.
Yeah.
That's not comes an additional
Therefore,
act
no, no.
of mixing or not
No.
mixing.
Therefore, what does that tell you?
Or covering,
What does that
covering.
tell you? But what does that tell
What does
you?
it tell you?
It's shedding some light over here
Yes.
that apparently, if it was not mixed, that means they're actually separate. There's something separating this piece from the rest. With it sitting on top of them. It's not mixed, right? It's not completely inside. It's not covered apart. And therefore, I only have a problem. One second. Let me read it inside. In other words, I have this problem when I did mix it. That's why I have a problem. But I mixed it only at the end. Oh no, you mixed it at the end, it has become in the meantime Hanan. Had there been no mixture whatsoever, it wouldn't be a problem. It's all there by itself. So the Mechaber says, when I have a problem in this piece that became Treif, that it may affect the whole Kedera, there was some mixing done later on. And this, in the meantime, this became Hanan. Right? Velochisa. Avalim nir mitchilo vatzrof ashaktim v'shavkol akol mitztaref. You can be mitztaref levatel tamacholov. You don't need to be mitztaref.
So that's something else.
Yeah.
So that's something else.
Yeah.
He says, when do I not need to worry about the whole piece?
Right. But he's telling you. I think he's killing two birds in one stone with that statement. He's basically telling us, when do you really have a problem that you have to consider the whole pot? Number one. Only when it's near. It was mixed. If it was never mixed, a piece of meat, take it out. Take it out. It doesn't affect the rest. No. Apparently it's not in the Roitev.
So you're
or you want to say it's in the Roitev and he holds like the Re.
So you're drawing... No. The machlokes between
He holds
Rashi
like,
and Ri when it's
he holds like
happened.
Rashi. I'm sorry, I always get mixed up. And he holds like Rashi.
It doesn't matter. The machlokes between Rashi and Ri is only when it's halfway in the...
Right.
And there the machlokes is the halfway case. Do you paskin it as being outside or being inside?
Inside, right.
That's the only... But if we're talking about...
Everybody would agree, by the way, that if it's completely outside,
Mm-hmm.
then only that piece would be...
So why mix it? Why mix it then?
Why? It's not a why. It happens.
I'm saying, why mix it right away if it's only that piece? Why mix it?
No, you don't need to mix it, but you did.
No,
you did.
The mixing is to save that piece. If you mix it, if the meat is completely
You save
outside,
that meat. You
and
save that
right
piece,
away
right.
start mixing it, then you will not have to treat it as something that was in isolation and therefore by itself needs system.
Right. Now think about it. He's telling you that you will otherwise.
But if the piece is in the Roitev,
right,
you don't need to mix.
Exactly.
It's already,
and then what?
You already have the same effect as though you had mixed it just by the fact that it's in the Roitev.
But then you need shishim connected the whole piece if that piece
you need shishim against the milk, not the whole against the...
No, it depends
the
how it holds.
in the Roitev.
You mean if he holds like...
It doesn't have to hold. We're not talking halfway in the Roitev.
Okay. Completely.
Completely in the Roitev.
You're right.
Yeah.
You don't need against the piece. So.
Again, the machlokes is only with respect to which din applies.
Right.
When it's halfway, does the din apply of being outside, or does the din apply of being
But
inside?
being inside, that's
right.
true.
So you don't have to. We don't have to always relate to it.
Right.
We just exclude the case of the halfway. Why? Because the machlokes on the halfway is only which din applies.
Yes.
Not what is the din.
That's correct.
Both agree that if it's outside, this din applies. If it's inside, this din applies. The question, if it's halfway, which of
the two applies? That's correct.
But there isn't always a machlokes between them.
No, you're right. Which din would apply? The din would be completely different. Sai legabe de chaticha, sai legabe if you can be mitzvah the whole pie against it.
So that's a special case. But with respect to the two dinim that could apply when it's halfway in it,
yes.
The two dinim, with respect to these two dinim, if it is completely inside, I don't need to stir it.
Exactly.
Because the fact
it's
that
completely inside.
The liquid already takes care of that, and we need 60 in the whole pot against the milk.
Yeah.
And if it's completely outside, then the stirring, what it accomplishes is, if it's stirred right away, to permit that piece that's sticking out. Provided I have 60 in the pot, it gets the milk that it absorbed. If I stir right away.
If you stir right
away.
Right, because then you're combining...
Right, that the piece didn't become hanan yet, because I immediately started stirring. The milk wasn't trapped in it yet, it didn't become hanan yet, and so now I can use the 60 in the whole pot in order to be mavatl even the milk that went into the piece I don't have to throw.
Right. But as in the first part of the statement, when he says, Mesha'arinan bekulo,
Yes.
אם אויה בכל מה שיש בקרב מהחתיכה וערב ועברתם כדי שתהא חתיכה זו אחד בשיש מקום, החתיכה is still אסור,
Right.
והשאר מותר.
But this is when I have to have 60 against the whole haticha, not against the milk. Because
Right.
it already became chanan.
Oh, so that's why he said that's what I'm saying. Why did it become Hanan?
Yeah.
Okay, so we explained that this is talking about a case where he did not. Okay, actually we said that in Seif Aleph, that he did not take it out,
But say if the meat fell into the milk. Case. See if the meat fell in the milk. Yeah, the milk is falling.
No, you're right. That was a mistake. That was the blias and the plitas, right? Because so we said that as long as it was boiling, we didn't have a problem, right? So here in the case of Seif Beis, it became Hanan in the meantime.
Right.
If it's let's say it's assuming it's outside the roitiv. Otherwise, according to it wouldn't become Hanan.
Halfway is the special case.
Right. So what is it? What is the dik of here? Misharim bekulo. Why do you need bekulo? Legabe that piece that has become Hanan, you would require all of it.
You would now need 60 against the whole piece.
But wait a minute. I understand that because it's Hanan, but it's sitting on top. Why don't I just remove it? Why do I have to involve everything else? So we're one step ahead. We must be. What we're saying is that in the eventuality, if that piece were to get mixed, that's when you would require to be mevatel the whole piece. Right now, if it's outside the roitev, you don't have to concern yourself with chorov. Why is he concerning himself about misharim bekulo? Only like you said, if you want to save that piece. But when would you want to save that piece? Only if it got mixed up in the end. Otherwise, you can't save that piece regardless.
No.
That piece is always going to remain usher.
Only if it didn't start stirring it right away.
Yeah, I'm saying.
His remedy is to stir it right away.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That piece itself will always remain usher, regardless of whether you have shishim. Because once you say they became hanan, so it's not that piece. It's not to save the piece.
The stirring is to save the piece.
The stirring is to save the piece. So what's the first part of the mechaber? What is it? If the stirring is the one to save the piece, so what is he telling about mesharim bekulo moya bechol masheish b'kdera? What does that have to do with anything? What are we concerned about the rest? Okay, so that is where you had a little bit of a machloikas. Is the mechaber really talking about that it's inside, halfway, or not? Well, otherwise, why would he have to say that? So some understand that from the language. If he's saying mesharim bekulo.
No, but it's not a big deal because he does say shelo niyeh b'tchila ela basov.
Right. So that's what I said.
So if niyeh basov, then you would need in the top 60 against the whole.
Exactly. So now that's exactly what I said.
Provided it was sticking.
So he qualifies that point too in explaining why he's mesharim b'kula is because in the end it was made. That's all. Anyway.
But the Ramah here is interesting because the Ramah expressly excludes the mixing.
Right.
In the head, in non
near klal.
No betchila.
That was the question. Why would you? Why need it?
He can't be talking about the case where the meat was in the water.
Halfway, but could be halfway. That's what he needed.
Okay, so that's a different.
Right.
Again, so the halfway would be he would be now donning the halfway as though it's sticking out completely.
Yeah.
But if he's donning the halfway as though it's sticking out completely, it's being a chana.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so that was the Ramah.
Because the milk doesn't go through fast enough.
Just real quickly, let's just see a couple dinim here. There's a machlokes. What's the din of the chaticha that's in the roitev? It's a separate machlokes, assuming that we hold that the chaticha is halfway in the sauce. Okay, and we're saying that the milk fell on top of the chaticha that's outside the roitev. What would be the din of the chaticha that's inside the roitev? So I just saw interesting machlokes here. Dar Moshe brings down the Shema Mordechai. That only the piece that's sticking out is the one becomes aser. Because if you say the blia goes all the way to the whole chaticha, if that's pshat, then the whole roitev should be included too, to be mevatel everything, right? In learning pshat, that half of it is inside the roitev, and nevertheless you don't include everything inside, then only the piece outside becomes aser, not the piece inside. You have one piece.
I understand the scenario, but I don't understand the conclusion.
Why?
I thought that that I think it was Rashi was claiming was that if it's half and half, then The fact that half of it is getting out prevents the milk from exiting them altogether, even though half of it is in the roitiv. The milk fell on a piece of meat that's half and half.
It doesn't go so far. That's what Rashi's saying. It's like it's completely outside. That's Rashi.
As far as it affecting exclude.
Yes.
And therefore you'll need 60 against the whole piece if it's halfway in the roitiv.
Right. Now the question is, why do you need Shem Keneged the whole piece?
Right.
Okay. So we said the whole piece becomes Asur for whatever. There are various
Well,
explanations.
you just said the Dark Moshe says that you can use the whole 60 in the whole roitiv in order the milk and the meat. The milk and the meat in the chaticha. I mean, it misunderstood you.
No. I'm sorry. You misunderstood me. In the case of if we say the scenario is that the piece is in the roitiv, and not like we were learning that it's outside the roitiv.
Halfway.
It's halfway. Because if it's outside, we said it's still a chumrah to say the whole thing is also. Remember that? Why should the whole thing? It's only tzli. But it's a chumrah, for whatever reason. But if it is halfway, what would be the din of the bottom half? Since in some ways it's in the roitab, then everything is being mitztarev.
So that's exactly what I was referring to.
Right.
But I thought the whole point of Rashi was that even if that once it's halfway sticking out, the milk will not have the strength to exit this.
Okay, but you can even learn that according to the Re.
But no. According to the Re, you don't have a problem because it shoots right through this, and you need 60 in the right against
so
the milk.
lechora, yes. So lechora, according to that way of understanding, that if it's
Then
halfway,
the not a chiddush.
yeah, then you're right. According to that way of learning, then exactly everything would be mitzdaref.
Not only the right.
And then you really would never even have a problem with any
Right,
piece.
it says no, the piece was in the right
That's
altogether.
true. Yeah.
So the Dark Moshe must be talking about the case. Must be talking.
Well, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. The Dark Moshe
from
Shema
the
Mordechai.
of Rashi.
Yeah, from that point of view, where we say that it's going to be Asur, what's going to be the din of the bottom half, the one that's in the right?
Right. So with respect to that, the reason I don't understand it because according to Rashi, the whole problem is that the milk doesn't have the koyach
Right.
to exit the piece at all.
Right.
Even the
So that's the way that's how he explains
So
that.
how does the right of it misstarif to mevatel it?
No, it's not. It's not. No. Again, maybe it wasn't clear. He says if the blia would go so far, and according to the way you explained it, Rashi says it doesn't go so far.
It goes into the bottom half, but it doesn't have enough koyach to go outside of the meat.
Yeah.
It goes into the bottom half.
No, that's the way.
Remains there.
That's what he says. No, he says there's two ways of understanding that. It doesn't even go all the way to the bottom because he says, according to the Mordechai, according to the Mordechai, if it would be able to go to the bottom, then why shouldn't we have that in the road to be mistarif? If it did travel so far, so that's why he wants to say, according to this shita, to be matir, b'shishim, everything. Okay. He says that the bottom half, according to this Mordechai, is not even the bottom half is not mistarif l'shishim to be mevatel. It doesn't. They're two completely separate pieces. One is in the roitiv, one is outside the roitiv. And he just says, you know what? Cut it. That's all he says, according to this shita, and everything is mutter. And the Bach and the Shachar King pretty much write the same according to this scenario. The Dark Moshe is B'dayik, according to the shita of the Tur, that once something is halfway in the roitiv, it is mefapeh in the whole chaticha. Still, like you said, Ilan, it does not have the koyach to travel any further. Right?
Any further than what?
Than that chaticha.
Right. So then it's around.
No. So in other words, so that chaticha entirely becomes asur. It does have the ability to be mefapeh in that chaticha, but it doesn't travel further.
So you're stealing the pot against the whole chaticha.
Yeah.
Not just against the milk.
Taz is cholik on this, and he holds that according to Rashi, the whole piece is asur only because of isur dabuk. That's how different we said that. And after it becomes all asur, there's a Taz like that.
I'm just saying we don't think we explain this double.
Yeah, but that's how he calls the whole thing because it's all one piece.
No, but isur dabuk has a
not because of piapu necessarily. And therefore, once the whole thing becomes asur, it makes the whole kedera asur.
Isur dabuk comes later, right?
Yes, right. But that's the way he explains it over here. Ran holds like the Taz for a different reason. Because he holds that in Basar B'chol, there's an interesting run about Hanan.
Right.
That even though the whole thing does not travel beyond a certain point, it still becomes Hanan. In other words, even though the Belia in one piece will not go further, the Ran says it still asers. As opposed to who?
Who is becoming asur here?
any other pieces that are beneath it
The other pieces become Hanan.
become also like the Hanan. Yeah.
So they become Hanan then.
Yeah.
Because of the Hanan, or
They become Hanan, I think.
So that's the position.
That's what you were saying before, yeah.
That's the position I'm mistaken, that Basar b'chalav doesn't usher like a piece of nevela,
Yeah.
but rather the Basar b'chalav affects
Yeah.
whatever it ushers as a Basar
That's where I saw in the, I think it's Darkei Moshe, Chavas Das, Chazonish, in the Shittas Rashi. Yeah, they say that according to Shittas Rashi, where the piece of meat is halfway in the roitev, they ask the following question. Okay, it's halfway in the roitev. Okay, the chalav is not mefapea, maybe it doesn't travel, but why shouldn't the meat, the tam habasar itself, the meat is in the roitev? Why shouldn't that tam affect everything else in the ktera? It doesn't, according to them. It's treif meat right now.
Right.
Exactly. So the Chazanish on that says, I think they all explain pretty much that too. The Yitzias Tam, the Basar by itself, does not aser unless the Tam HaChalav goes with it. The Yitzias Tam of the Basar will not affect the other food items in Ikdero unless the Chalav can travel with it.
But that's the old machlokes of min b'mino.
No.
That you cannot distinguish the taste of the...
No. Here the question is the Tam HaBasar. The Tam HaBasar should aser everything else. This Basar is treif.
Aser what else?
Anything else in the other Basar right now, right?
So that's the min b'mino. That's the same thing that we had before. Either the min b'mino, because it's the taste, so you don't have here an exclusive taste.
Yeah, but it's a Basar b'chalav. It's a Basar
But
b'chalav.
the meat doesn't taste... You're not talking about a taste of halal. There is no...
Yeah, but it's not so much... Yeah, but the thing is that the whole piece is treif. So the chalav may not travel. Let's say the chalav does not travel. Who needs the chalav to travel? If the piece of meat is treif, the piece of meat is treif. The time of treif meat should be.
But that's the same. That's exactly the case b'mino by a nevela that fell into a pot of kosher meat.
That what?
That you have two positions with respect to the Gemara. The one position is because it tastes the same and it's indistinguishable.
Right.
Therefore, everything you're tasting is the taste.
Okay.
Or the opposite that says, because it tastes the same, you cannot distinguish the taste of the Yisr from the heter, so therefore the taste is meaningless. You don't need 60. 60 is against taste.
Okay.
So you just need a majority because you have an Yisr, like any type case of nevela that got mixed in with kosher meat. You need a majority.
Yeah, so that's, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that fits into what...
Or the others that
another
say
explanation.
there is a position which we don't pass in like
In other words, you mesalek, eino minoi. That's what, are you talking about the Gemara that says, salek is she'eino minoi?
No, not enomino.
Yeah.
No, that's a whole different. That was a different story. No, we're talking about something else. We have one sausage that's an avela mixed with two sausages, and that's kosher. We don't know which one.
Right.
So we go according to the majority. We say you can eat the whole thing, not at once. Don't eat it in one meal. Don't have one person eat everything. But you can eat all three pieces. And there are those why you don't need 60. You just need a simple majority. That's what we learned in Taaruvot.
Yeah.
Why do you need a simple majority, not 60? Because you don't have a taste to be mevatel. When you need 60? When you don't want the taste to be noticeable. You want to be mevatel the taste.
Okay.
If you have min b'mino, the nevela has the same taste as the kosher piece of meat. You can't taste the fact that it wasn't chefed properly.
Right.
So, according to the opinion of those that hold like this, you only need a majority to be mevatel the isser itself, because we go after the simple majority. We go after a majority.
Okay, but you still
But then
need...
there's the opinion of those that say, since it all tastes the same, you can't distinguish the taste of the kosher sausages from the taste of the non-kosher.
Right.
So therefore, everything becomes forbidden. Because everything you're tasting is a taste of non-kosher. Which we don't pass in like that.
Right, we don't pass on it.
Right, but it seems to me that what you're saying here is a repetition of the same
No, but
question.
I don't think that's not really
Well,
that.
then
Here's more of a question of what
forbidden.
you were saying the very, very beginning of the shir about the basar b'chalav of Hanan making other things Hanan, or whether the meat. In other words, what is the time that this Hanan? It's a piece of Hanan. The whole thing is treif.
Yes.
It is traveling.
Yes.
But the Hanan here is a form of Isser Balua. The chalav is not traveling. It is a form of Isser Balua.
But there is no Isser that was Balua.
Yeah, but the milk
No
was,
one
but
was
the chemistry is the same. You have a milk that's being balua into the basar.
But the milk
the
is
milk
not
is
an
not
Isser.
traveling. Right, but it's right now. This whole piece became
the piece became an isser
An
because it
isser.
was cooked with milk.
It's cooked, exactly.
That doesn't make the piece
Yeah.
any less isser than the milk that it absorbed.
Yeah, but
So I
now,
don't go after the milk that was absorbed.
all right, but now this piece is usher. The
Itself.
right, so the time of this basar,
Like a nevela, it's also us.
yeah, right. So why aren't we concerned about that?
Well, we are. But,
Yeah.
it's not a
Yeah.
question of taste, it's a question of simple majority, like every nevela. Unless you go with the opinion of those that say that because the taste is not
Yeah.
distinguishable, therefore everything you're tasting is taste of it.
Yeah, that's not it. That's
But we don't pass
yeah.
that.
No, we don't pass it that. But that's not exactly the point of it. I'll get into it. I have to show you this.
This is a Shulchan,
It's in Taaruvot. It's in Taaruvot. It's a machlokes, the Taz and the Shach over there about this. But we're going to get carried away. So bli neder, we'll get back into it. But it's a very interesting Chazon Ish that explains that if the basar is giving off time, but the chalav is not, it's not the same. For it to make a problem over here, they both would have to be traveling together. I'll get into that another time. I just want to finish up with the last seif, the last portion of the seif that we spoke about.
Maybe make of that.
Yeah, okay.
Chazon Ish.
Of the Chazon Ish, yeah. I want to just mention about, real quickly, that if it fell into the morok, or chatichas, velo noida le'eze chaticha nofa, that was that we left off, that if it fell into the pot, we don't know where it fell. Okay, Noyer Segdera, you're allowed to mix the whole pot until everything becomes mixed. If everything becomes mixed, you're okay. If there's no time in the whole thing, and if there's no ovikachavim to taste it, then you use shishim. So the big question over here with this last,
When you say again, now you mean from the beginning, right away, not subsequently in time.
right, mix it right away. Yeah.
Because if it became
No,
mixed
that
in,
not necessarily. Actually, no, not necessarily. You don't know when. It doesn't say here about near right away.
so now you know you have an isser in that pot.
Exactly.
Of isser.
Exactly. So not necessarily right away. You mixed it. Of course, you mixed it, but you don't know.
Or you just don't know which piece.
You just don't know
of it.
which piece. That's what. So the big question on this mechaber, on this halacha, was what about bittul isur lechatchila.
You're not mixing anything intentionally. It just became.
Knew something fell.
Yeah.
Okay, but isn't this like a bittul isur lechatchila? And there's an
The
isur
bittul-
here.
No, bittul isser lahatchila is when it falls in and you immediately start mixing. That's bittul isser lahatchila.
Isn't that what
And what's this?
But you were just telling it's not the question where you start mixing right away. You were telling me it's a question when it became mixed in.
No.
No. Man, you didn't
That was
understand.
my question.
No. Something fell in. You don't know where, and sometime after it fell in, you went ahead.
Sometime after.
You went ahead.
Sometime after, not right away.
Excuse me, Ilan, one.
Yeah. One more time.
So it became hanan already.
One more time. Here, the mixing was not that you wanted it to mix it. You're being told to mix it to avoid the problem.
Which mixing are you talking about? Right away or something?
No, it doesn't make a difference.
It does make a big difference.
It doesn't say that.
Of course, the mechaber, when he tells you to mix it, he says mix right away.
No, it doesn't say that. Here, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't appear to make a difference.
Where here?
אם נופל לתוך ממורה כל החתיכות ולא נוידע לאיזה חתיכה נופל, נוירס הקדרה כולו עד שיושו ויסערב, הכל, אם יש בקדרה כולו טעם חלב, אסור אינה מותרת. Okay?
But that was the case.
This nothing to do with time, nothing to do with anything like that. It has to do with the bittul being mevatel what just fell in.
No, you can't be mevatel what just fell in. So you
Yeah.
have to do it right away.
No.
Otherwise, you're not
no.
being mevatel what just fell in.
No. You have some chalav that fell in, okay? You don't know where it fell in. So it's actually telling you, go ahead and mix it.
Right. You don't
So
need
the
to know where it
question
fell
is,
in.
so the question is, how could he tell you to do something like that?
But that's talking about right away.
No. It doesn't really make that much of a difference.
That's the whole point here.
Why?
What would be the biddle? What are you? If a treif piece of meat.
Yeah.
And then
Let me ask you a question. What happens if it fell in,
Well,
and 5 minutes later you mix it? Tell me.
So then you need 60 against the piece on which it landed.
You don't know which piece
Well,
it
so you
landed.
need- so you have to take the worst case scenario and you have to say the biggest piece in the pot.
Nah, that's... you think about that.
Absolutely
No,
yes.
no.
I'm sorry. No.
That's-
Don't laugh too prematurely. I'll show it to you black and white.
No, that's not that.
I'll show it to you black and white.
No. It's going to be, in the end, it's going to be
I'll
Yavish to
show
Yavish.
I'll show it to you
It's
yeah,
going to
black
be,
and white.
it's going to be
No.
Batal Beroiv.
No.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
can only be bottled beroy
Right.
if you have enough in the pot to be mevatel the biggest piece.
No.
So how do you know if it's bottled beroy or not?
Oh, so these are the questions. These are some of the questions. I didn't say there were no questions on this mechaber.
No.
These are some. We have several questions about this mechaber. This mechaber by itself is not pashut. And the Ramah says, "There's cholkim." that you cannot, she'eino moil ma shenir bekdera, yim lo shenir miyad, shenofel ha'isur, like you're saying. You see? And Ramah is just going back to what we said before. If you were near miyad, then we don't have a problem. But to be menared later on, which is what implied in the Mechaber, how could you do that? So Ilan, that's the question.
Ramah says it's okay
if you did it right away, because then it's similar to what we saw before. Right?
Right away.
If you did do it right away, real right away, then of course it's like, like the Aruch HaShulchan explained, the milk is still there, but the difference is that here you don't know where it fell, and there you do see it.
You don't need to see it. If the milk if the milk fell into the pot, stir it immediately, according to all opinions. If it was not stirred immediately,
right,
then according to the Taz and the Shach's understanding of the Rambam,
right, which is Mechaber,
it can still be stirred. It doesn't say Mechaber. It can still be stirred, since the entire pot is still in a state of Safek.
Oh, you see? So
wait a second. But according to the Ramah, it cannot be stirred. And therefore, if it was stirred, even if all the pieces of meat, except for one, had 60 against the drop, the pot is aser, unless there were 60 times against the largest piece.
Right, that's the Ramah.
Unless there were 60 times against the largest piece.
Yeah, but that's in the Ramah.
Excuse me, that's halacha l'maisa.
No.
By then it's halacha l'maisa.
Yeah.
It's titled halacha l'maisa.
Yeah.
Here.
Well, obviously.
So I think you might disagree with them.
No.
You're certainly entitled to disagree with them. Wait a second. But I think you cannot say.
I think we're going to change places on who is leading.
No, one second. Ilan. But take one thing at a time. Ilan, but you're jumping. You're jumping. That's the Ramah. I'm not talking about the Ramah yet.
This wasn't the Ramah.
I'm talking about the Ramah. That's the Ramah. The problem is that they did not distinguish it.
They didn't distinguish.
No, they didn't distinguish it. I'm talking about the Mechaber right now, not the Ramah. The Ramah says yesh cholkim, and according to ones who are cholek, you can't do that. And therefore, since you can't do that, you can go on with what you were saying. You would need shishim against the biggest piece, obviously, because you have a big suffix over here. Yeah, that's obvious. I mean, obviously, you would need shishim against the big, just in case it fell. If you're going to be machmer, you have to be machmer all the way. He doesn't say anything else. But otherwise, I mean, he just tells you, if you know it right away, mix it right away, you're fine. Otherwise, you're in trouble. You can't do this. So the question is, what is the Mechaber talking about? The Mechaber is not talking about mixing it right away. He's giving us advice. You don't know where it fell? I have a new din to tell you. Go ahead and mix it. Until everything is mixed, and then you don't have a problem.
Until when are you supposed to mix it?
But you still have to have a fail taste it, of course.
Until when do you have to mix it?
You don't have any problem. Even 10 minutes later, even a half an hour later.
Until when do you have to, how long do you have to mix it?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit, yeah.
Does he tell you?
No. So anyway, the only thing I want to just cover, and with this we'll finish, is about the bittul isel lechatchila. It's a very unique din, a unique halacha that everybody jumps on. The Shach says, since we don't know on which chaticha it fell, the whole kedera is besafek. And when the whole kedera is besafek, it's not called mevater yisur. Even though it may have given taste in the chatichas, yet the whole kedera is besafek. The Taz writes something similar to that. The Trumas Hadeshin writes that any time you have a suffix, if there's an Isser altogether, there's no Mevatel Isser Lechatchila. Who says there's an Isser here, Bechlal? Who says there's an Isser? Maybe there's a little bit of blood. Who says? If we don't know for sure there's an Isser, it's not called Vital Isser Lechatchila. But now comes the punchline. Rabbi Elyahu says, but wait a minute. Okay, there's no Isser. Yes Isser, no Isser, no Vital Isser. I have another problem, the Rabbi Elyahu says. Who gives you permission to mix it? You might be cooking basar b'chalav over here by mixing the basar with the chalav. You hear the chap? You hear what Rabbi Elyahu says? Who gives you permission to do something like this? You're not allowed to cook basar with chalav. Mixing it is cooking basar with chalav. So I think I have to look at it inside again. I think basically how he concludes over there is basar with chalav is not iser. Each one is separate, is mutter. Right? They're both heter. So here, when you're coming along and mixing it, you haven't really mixed basar b'chalav yet. You haven't really been mevatel and iser. This is not called bishul, he says, just because it's bottle. In other words, by being mevatel, by being mixed, that's not called bishul basar b'chalav. Each one is mutter by itself. It has not yet become a basar b'chalav iser. And therefore, it's not a problem of, he attacks the problem of basar b'chalav, cooking. But in the end, it's like the Shach says, and the Taz says, and everybody else, the whole thing is a big suffix. If at all there's an isser, the whole thing is part of the suffix. This is not called the bittul isser lechatchila. I don't know, and because I don't know where it fell, I can do this. It's basar b'chalav. This Rabbi Elyahu says it's not really basar b'chalav yet. Each one is mutter, and therefore it's not a problem with B'tor Yisrael Chatchila, it's not a problem with Basar B'chalav, and you can do it. The Ramah says you can't do it, because not everybody agrees with it. Obviously some have a problem with that, because in the end, it did affect it. It may have given tam. It may have given tam to one of the pieces, and then what? Yes, but if it has given tam, okay, maybe it's not a deraisa anymore, because maybe it's a derabanan, because it would be batal b'roiv. We'll go into it a little bit more next time. It's not really an isser yet. That's the main thing. It's still begeder suffix if we don't know where it's at. But Mitzvah Hashem will elaborate more next time.